day, everybody, from wherever you are in the world. I hope that you're doing great and you're ready to begin yet another fresh week. In today's inspiration session, we'll be talking about renewing and refreshing the mind. Remember, this entire month of January, we're looking at 4 areas of renewal and refreshing as we begin to prepare ourselves for a season of dominion. We have to care about the state in which we are in order to be able to manifest ourselves fully in dominion. Okay? So today we'll be looking at the mind. When you're looking at the mind, you cannot ignore the actions and functions of the brain as well, because they're interconnected. When you look at the brain is a physical organ that actually hosts the mental function of the brain. Okay? So what is feeding your brain? On the physical, what's feeding your brain? People don't ever stop to think about the state of their brains, the state of their bodies. We'll be dealing with our body at a different point. But today we're talking about the mind, and we cannot ignore the state of our brains as well, because it's a function that hosts the mind, right? Our mental faculties and capabilities. What are you feeding your brain? What is the state of your brain? When you look at the kind of food that you're eating, trust me, there is actually food that actually feeds the brain and that determines our optimal state and function of our brain. When you're looking at omega oils, you're looking at fish, you're looking at rest and sleep, it will directly affect the performance and actions of your brain, and thereafter, of course, your mind. Okay? When you're looking at exercise, you're looking at meditation, you're looking at all these things, spiritual and physical, that have an effect on your brain. So as we begin this year and we begin to position and prepare ourselves to be able to manifest, we have to think about how are we showing up? What is the state of our mind and our brains as we show up to be able to function and manifest dominion in this season? Okay? The other thing I want us to think about is, what are you feeding your mind? What is feeding your mind? What are you putting into your mind? Because it determines the state of your mind, the content of your mind, the mindset that you then become or that you have. It determines the thoughts and the actions and the decisions that flow out of that mind. Okay? Because last week we looked at the state of our hearts, renewing and refreshing our hearts. And we realized that out of the fullness of our hearts, our mouths speak. Our mouths speak what our thoughts are thinking, what our minds are creating. That is what manifests in our speech and in our actions. So the mind is a very powerful tool. And as we're looking at refreshing and restoring and renewing our minds, we must be thinking about, what are we feeding in our mind? What is the thing that is feeding your mind? Is it media? What do you spend a lot of time doing as far as engaging your mind? Is it books? What kind of books are you reading? Because that content, that information is what you're feeding your mind and begins to shape your mindset, begins to shape your attitudes, begins to shape your emotions, begins to shape your actions, right? What are you listening to? The voices, what are the voices that are around you? The people, society. What is society saying? What are you picking? What are you assimilating? What are you digesting? What are you accepting? Because that is determining who you become, the mindset that you're going to carry, the decisions and actions you're going to take. How you think is shaped by what you've allowed to be assimilated and to be stored and to be digested inside of your mind, to shape you. Culture, religion, our experiences. When you look at your experiences, are you allowing those experiences to shape? Because if you're not taking stock, taking time to stop, to refresh, to renew your mind, to take stock of what your mind has, to take stock of the state of your mind, okay? If you're not stopping to take stock, then you're just flowing continuously with what has already been put in, things that were put in since we were born, when we were children, when we were growing up, our teenage experiences, our things we read, things we watched, things we saw, things we had. If you're not taking stock to actually reflect, interrogate, and look at what is the state of your current mindset, then you're carrying forward into this new season things that perhaps are not relevant or aligned to the season that is ahead. Okay? I want us to take time throughout this week as you go on about your day and as you go on about your work and as you go on about your day to day. Be intentional and begin to reflect and think about the state of your mind. What's in your mind? What kind of mindset are you carrying? Are you carrying a negative mindset? And let's be honest with yourself, you can't lie to yourself. Are you somebody when you come into the midst of people, they just know, okay, the pessimist has walked in? Because that is the mindset you carry. And out of the fullness of what you carry inside of your mind are your words, are your thoughts, are your speech, are your actions. When people are thinking about ideas, are you the one who's shooting down ideas? Your default position is to shoot down things. Your default position is not to believe. Your default position is to be like, oh, whatever. What's different? Take time and interrogate your experiences to this point, your mindset to this point, the information that you have digested and allowed to set in and settle in into your mind to this point. Begin to look and see, what are you watching? What are you listening to? Because subconsciously, known or unknown to you, it is shaping your perspective. It is shaping your mindset. It is sinking somewhere in your subconscious and driving certain decisions and thoughts and perspectives and outcomes. Begin to think about that. Are you having a positive mindset? If so, that's great. How do you take it further? How do you move it to the next level? Are you having a growth mindset? Which is what we all should be aspiring to be continuously growing, continuously thriving from level to level, from glory to glory, from dimension to dimension, higher to higher. Okay? Are you having an abundance mindset? And this, by the way, you'd be surprised that when I'm asking, are you having an abundance mindset? It is a mindset. And it is determined by your perspective, by your thoughts, by what you're allowing to get into your mind and into your system. Okay? The opposite is true. The opposite of abundance is scarcity. And scarcity leads to poverty. Okay? Are you having a poverty mindset? Are you having a scarcity mindset? And what is shaping that? Is it your experience? Is it what you've seen around you? Is it what you've grown up around? It doesn't matter. Your past is your past. But you can take control and shape what your future looks like. Right? It doesn't matter if you grew up in a state of poverty around you. That does not determine who you become or the state of your future. Begin to shift and to make a change in what you're allowing to go into your mind so that it begins to shape the outcomes of your reality. I want to give us a few scriptures to look at that will help us to move forward into a mindset of abundance, of limitlessness, and of positivity. Okay? Because a lot of the people take and draw their mindsets, their information, their perspectives, and thereafter their decisions and actions from what they're used to, what society is saying, what religion is saying, what culture has dictated, the voices of the people close to us, our parents, our siblings, our friends, our spouses, people who are influencers into our lives. We tend to listen to those voices, and these things begin to shape our realities. They shape the kind of decisions we are taking or making. And they can actually limit us. Because if you're carrying the mindset of your mother or your father or your close friend, which is not your reality, then you're making decisions based on their reality, based on their background or whatever it is that shaped that conclusion or perspective on whatever matter. And you're limiting your opportunity from stepping into abundance and dominion. Okay? Let's look at Romans 12:2. It says, do not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewal of your mind, so that you may discernment, so that you can be able to pick and know instinctively, spiritually, the good and acceptable and perfect will of God concerning your life. So do not be conformed to the patterns of this world. What does the patterns of this world state? They've already dictated a lot of things. What a man must be, what a man must have, what a woman must be, what a woman must have. She must be able to know how to cook. She should be married by the age of 35. She should do this and this. She should have babies. She should already start to have babies by the time she's particular age. For grandparents, they already say when you're already hitting your 50s or whatever, you should already be producing to the world and showing the world, literally, your grandchildren. If not, there's pressure. But the things that you're filling your mind with knowingly or unknowingly, and ignorance is not defense, can shape the kind of outcomes and actions and decisions that you take. Okay? So what are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you putting in your mind? What are you reading? Okay? What are you reading? Who is speaking around you? And what are they saying? What is their perspective? Do they understand who you are? Do they understand where you're going? However much, we confuse love and care for affirming, certain voices in our lives. My parents obviously love me, want the best for me. My spouse, my children, my family members, my siblings, they obviously love me and want the best for me. I want the best for my children. But you see, when we're giving our decisions and perspectives to things that are concerning our lives or their lives, what is shaping our thoughts? What is shaping our perspective? The decision that I want to take. And when I go and I sit with my mom, whom I love so much, and she gives me a perspective out of love and out of care, but does not understand where I'm at and where I'm going in the season I'm in, how am I supposed to engage with that kind of decision? In love, right? So let's begin to really reflect and not just flow like a conveyor belt on automatic mode. Let us take time and be intentional. Let's think about what are we thinking? Why are we thinking it? What is driving the thoughts? What is driving the decisions? What's best for me? What must I do for this season to manifest? Do the people around me understand who I am and where I'm going when I go to them for counsel? Okay? Because when you go to certain people for counsel and advice and direction, it will be best to have people who understand you, who have a perspective of who you are and where it is you're going. Okay? But outside of that, then you're just picking ideas and counsel and advice from people, yes, who may love you, but have no perspective and insights as to who you are and where you're going. So our mindset, the state of our mind, what we are putting in as we're beginning this week and beginning to prepare ourselves and position ourselves for dominion, let us be very intentional and deal with this critical aspect of our lives. Our minds, because they shape our mindsets. That's why it's called mindset. Because our minds and what's inside of our minds set our ways. They set our perspective. They set the kind of decisions and actions we take. That mindset. And the difference I have seen between those who really succeed and those who seem to struggle to break forth in certain things is mindset. There are people who are optimistic. Optimistic is a positive mindset. And there are people who are pessimistic. That's a negative mindset. And if two are faced with the same situation, you find the one who has a positive mindset and is optimistic overcomes the barrier. The one who is pessimistic and with a negative mindset sinks with that same issue. You understand? So as we want to move and break forth into dominion, as we're taking time to prepare for this dominion season, let us take time to take stock, reflect upon our minds, the state of our minds, our mindsets, and don't forget to look after and take stock of the state of your brain, which is our physical function. Feed your brain, the food you eat, rest, okay, exercise, and various things that actually have a direct impact on the state of our brains, because our brains host our minds. Okay, so I hope that you're inspired to break forth from a whole new dimension and a whole new mindset as we move forth into dominion. Have a beautiful week and manifest dominion. Bless you.